Spirit Airlines, where the only thing lower than the ticket price is the bar for human suffering. Welcome aboard the Hunger Games of air travel. Let's break down the brutal truth of budget airlines. Strap in, why don't you? Oh my god. Not him sitting there smiling. He's got to be a seasoned traveler because nobody in their right mind is going to be smiling through that. I believe it was the first time I ever flew Delta. It was in June of 2024. Me and my girl was coming back from Miami on a Delta flight, and it was the first time I ever been on a flight that had like scary levels of turbulence. I was worried for my life. It got to the point where I was squeezing the seat so hard, just trying to focus and just trying to dial in because I knew I was going to puke any minute. And no, I didn't really necessarily hold it together. I wasn't yelling or anything, but I was just completely focused on dying at that point. I'm like, it's about to occur. This is the end. Crazy to think though, so many people like, flight attendants and whatnot, the pilots probably had zero worry at all. They're probably so used to that. It feels terrifying. You can feel like the plane hit rough air is what they always call it. You can just feel the plane smacking air. It's terrifying. Kudos to him for not only keeping his composure, but laughing through that. I feel like if I was in that situation and I turned and I seen somebody just giggling, it'd probably make me laugh too, man. First comment says, and you just sitting there smiling. Second comment says, I would have been laughing so hard, I can never take anything serious. Third comment says, who is driving this bus? Another comment says, the screaming would piss me off even more. I kind of feel him on that. Like if you're in a serious situation and you got people just reacting by screaming and freaking out, it's gonna piss me off quick. Like, you are of no help to the situation, lady. You can yell all you want. You're still going to die with me in this plane right now. So I would have been in tears from laughing. Yeah, I think a lot of people say that, but how many of y'all have been on a flight and experienced that? That dude is a G for that, but I was so close to puking when I felt that. It was not good.
Everyone loves to hate on Spirit Airlines, so here's my honest review after flying on Spirit internationally for the first time. Hey, I'm Amanda, and I share actually useful travel tips. Being based out of Atlanta, which means I mostly fly Delta direct to anywhere I want to go, I was hesitant to fly Spirit internationally with a layover and a checked bag. It felt like so much could go wrong. Lost bags, missed layovers, delays, but here's what really happened. It was great. I'm just as shocked as you are. The flights were on time, my connection was quick and easy, and I even had a whole row to myself on the second flight. After going through customs, my bag came out only 2 to 3 minutes later. Overall, I would happily fly Spirit again, even internationally, so don't be surprised if you see a howdy plane wing more often this year. Save this post for tips on flying Spirit.
Up until last year, all the flights I ever did in my life were all Spirit, and I had nothing else to judge it against, so I can't say it was good or bad at the time, but now I've taken many Delta flights, and I'll tell you what, it's just as cramped, if you ask me. I don't think the seats are any bigger. Like the standard seats you get, it's still the same plane, same amount of seats, I believe, right? About to look this up real quick. The same sized seats. Wow, but look right here. It says, no, Spirit and Delta do not have the same size seats. Spirit offers a big front seat upgrade with more legroom and width, pretty much like first class, while Delta seats vary by class and aircraft type, but generally have more legroom and width than Spirit's standard economy seats. So yeah, it's been since like 2019 that I actually got on a Spirit flight, if I can remember correctly. Yeah, in the past year I've done all Deltas, and it still feels cramped. You don't get a lazy boy. It reclines a tiny bit, and I gotta keep like shifting my ass the whole time so my back doesn't react to it. But I stand corrected. Spirit and Delta do not have the same size seats. Oh wow, it shows right here. Spirit has a 28 inches, like ass width? Delta and American, wow, they really have different size seats. I stand corrected, dog. But hey, shout out to that lady, because look, sometimes you just got to try the other thing, and you figure out it ain't nearly as bad as you thought it was. You just got to try new stuff in life. You'll discover things. First comment says, I agree. As somebody who travels often, I've flown Spirit 3 times and haven't had a horrible experience. Now Frontier, ... I've never done Frontier. I never plan on doing Frontier, honestly. Delta's been smooth. I'm going to stick with Delta until they do something, until they do me wrong, and then I'm going to go back on my Spirit flights. Another comment says, I appreciate this. We're flying Spirit for the first time, and we're so nervous. Like, do you think that because they are known to be kind of charge you for everything and they're the budget airline, you think they're going to make you crash? I believe they're actually the safest airline. You just might not get the best service, and you're not getting shit free on that flight. You're not getting shit free.
So what's your take?
Spirit Airlines does not deserve the hate.
100% disagree.
I knew you would.
It's awful.
I knew you would. I know everyone will, but I stand in my truth on this because here's the thing. Spirit Airlines is the only airline that is actually honest about the service that they provide.
No, they're advertising good service. They're like, fly with us.
No,
The magic
they are
is-
advertising. Let me tell you. I just flew round trip to Miami for $120, and you know what I received? A $120 experience. They picked
You
me up,
received a flight.
they shot me through the air, and they dropped me off.
Let me ask you a question. Did you bring any bags?
I did, but here's the thing.
How much did you pay for the bags?
I paid like $50 for the bags. But
So it's $175.
yes, but the other airlines are doing the same thing, charging more, charging for snacks, charging for the bag, trying to sell you a credit card the whole time, and the door flies off in the middle of the flight. If I was on Spirit and the door fell off, I said I didn't pay for the door to stay on.
Spirit Airlines doesn't have customer service.
You don't pay for customer service. You pay to be shot through the air at roughly an appointed time from an appointed location, and they drop you off.
They're like, you can fly with us if you want.
Yeah, they said, we will drop you off. It will be disrespectful. The other airlines are acting like they're going to respect you in the process.
Okay.
And then it's a disrespectful
Oh my
process.
God.
So you're saying it's all a bad experience. You might as well pay for the bad experience rather than pay for the fake good experience.
Yeah.
I appreciate her perspective on that. She's got a good perspective on that. She said, I didn't pay to be in a luxurious flight. So why should I be paying Delta $300 when I could pay Spirit $150, $175 for the same exact experience? No layovers. I'm getting dropped off at the same place, but for half the price. I feel her. They're not gonna talk nice, and they're not gonna give me shit free. Shit.
When we think about Spirit, we think this is like the Section 8 airline in the sky, right? But if you think about their business model, they making more money than anybody else because
No doubt.
everything with them is a la carte. When niggas brag to you and go, oh, I got me a ticket on Spirit Airline for $20, nigga, that's just for the ticket.
Yeah.
Like, you got to pay for the seat,
Yeah.
right?
Dude.
Then you got to pay them niggas to get in the air, right? Because some of you niggas can't get in the air. Some of y'all got to stay on the ground. It's another $25.
Paying for air.
Only airline. Everybody else, like, you got to have a seatbelt. Spirit Airlines, like, listen, bitch, if you want to live, that's another $55. So Spirit Airline is making money hand over fist, and we looking at them like they trash. That's a business model that's crazy. Make them think you poor and then charge them for everything. You want an oxygen mask when this plane go down? Bitch, that's another $55. Huh? Yo, you wanted to land? Okay, because we was going to keep circling until you could afford to land. You know,
life
some
tax.
niggas still in the sky because they can't afford to land.
But yeah, she's not wrong. She's just reiterating the point everybody else makes. Everything is extra. Do they even let you carry? I think you get one little carry-on bag and that is it. On Delta, I get my main suitcase. I get this whole thing. I get this whole unit on Delta. Okay, I get this whole. I put it above my head, and then I put this whole unit under my feet. This is free. This is included. So whenever you buy that Delta flight, you don't got to check nothing. Nothing costs money. First comment says, Spirit ain't cheap at all. All the flights have connecting flights, which means you're paying for 2 tickets. Last time I flew Spirit, I can't even remember what airport we flew to. I was going to Atlanta from Detroit, and I still had a connecting flight. And I want to say, what is the country city? Nashville. And wherever the Nashville airport was, it was actually beautiful too. It was a very beautiful airport. But nonetheless, yeah, we saved money, but you added so much time. You know, same thing I think about when we look at driving to Miami or anywhere that we want to go. Even if you're saving money, you still got to add into the fact that it's going to take so much more time. So in a way, I look at it like when I buy a plane ticket, I'm buying back my time instead of spending 22 to 24 hours to get to Florida and then 24 hours to get back. Now the whole traveling process altogether is I'm talking there and back is 6 hours instead of 48 hours. And that's a steep difference. It gets to a point I'd rather just pay the extra money and fly and get it done like that. Until we got cars that hit 300 miles per hour on the highway, I'm flying, baby. Another comment says, direct flights, I'm always 15 to 20 minutes early. I've never had an issue. That's one thing I do love about Delta that I probably happened on Spirit too. I just don't remember it. But if Delta tells me we gonna land in Miami at 10 p.m., we land at 9:30 p.m. And yeah, usually by the time you get off the damn plane, it do be damn near 10. But nonetheless, they are on time as it gets. Same thing with the takeoff procedure. If they said we leaving at 10:15, 10:15 strikes and that plane starts moving. It's insane. They are so on time. I want to take a quick moment right now to say if you're watching this video and you're enjoying what you're watching, subscribe, please. That's all I ask. Subscribe. It's free. All right, now back to the video.
Yo, you ever fly on this Spirit? They're the most hated airline. 3 times the amount of complaints of anyone else. But why? See, in the early 90s, the economy sucks, so Spirit scoops a bunch of airplanes from bankrupt airlines. And for a decade, they're just chilling. But there's a problem. This young Ben Baldanza. See, private equity buys Spirit and puts Benny Beans in charge. And his first law, we compete on price. and price alone. So they unbundle everything. Welcome. Oh, thanks. So happy to be. Here $100. Your checked bags, $40. Your carry-on, $30. Your dogs, $20. Your peanuts, $10. Is the water at least free? Yeah, free like $5 free. See, they were the first airlines to do this. Before, no airline even charged for a checked bag. Then they try and salvage their street cred with these edgy ads. Many low island fares, check out the oil on our beaches after the Gulf oil spill, and the 69th aircraft deal. But we still hate them.
That made me think, like, why does Spirit get a rap of being just like cheap and shitty, but a company like Toyota, like, we look at them as dependable beasts. They're cheap, reliable cars that get you point A to point B. This is the same version, but in planes. I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm doing a good analogy there, but somebody hop in the comments and finish that thought for me, would you? And yeah, first comment says, I flew Spirit. It's fine. It gets you from point A to point B. It's a fine airline. Another comment says, I tried to cancel a flight I just made on Friday, and they refused to refund me. It's Sunday. Thinking about this reminds me, I remember when I was going on the Spirit flights, they would make you, no joke, they would make you put your carry-on into like this pre-cut cage. If anyone has flown Spirit, you probably know what I'm talking about. They literally, before you get on that plane, they make sure you put your little carry-on into this box/cage thingy to make sure it's the exact dimensions that they need to be a carry-on. If your shit is 1 inch over that, you are paying the additional fee to get it under the plane, okay? And every time I've flown Delta, they don't do that. There is no cage. There's no box. They just trust you. They said, you bought this ticket, I trust you. Come on in.
I'm 6'2", and never in my life have I ever heard of a plane getting shot at with regular bullets. But if you told me a plane got shot at with regular bullets, I would immediately guess it was a Spirit Airlines plane. Delta be like, don't shoot me, American. Ugh. But Spirit, something about Spirit says, you can shoot us. We shootable. I'm 6'2", and never in my...
He did not say it's a shootable airline. That's insane. First comment says, I feel like Spirit shot back. Second comment says, Spirit involved in a goddamn drive-by. Oh, another comment says, Spirit plus Florida. Like they're saying it's like the Florida Man stories times Spirit combined. Another comment says, all I know is my flight is on the 25th through Spirit. People better handle their beef before or after that flight, okay?
Brace yourselves, folks. We're about to take a ride on a flight that's cheaper than a bag of peanuts and possibly more disappointing. It's our first time trying out Spirit Airlines. This is a big deal for us to fly Spirit because as a travel agent, I was literally trained to filter them and Frontier out of our search results for travelers. But this flight was the only one that was a reasonable price from Atlanta to Fort Lauderdale, so we took the risk. Things were off to a strong start when we realized our boarding pass didn't include a QR code or our names, so we stopped by the kiosk and got them reprinted. This is our first time seeing such a
I do
long
that every
line for
time on
TSA
Delta.
pre-check, but with the Atlanta airport being one of the most transited airports in the world, it made sense. By the way, the new camera bag is the best I've found, and it was like $65 on Amazon, and it's in our storefront. Boarding started early, which was a surprise, and they didn't make us wear bags or fit them in a box or anything, which I totally expected based on our experience flying low-cost carriers in Mexico and Europe. We boarded, and it really wasn't as bad as I thought. We even took off 5 minutes earlier than anticipated. The seats were pretty much comparable with Southwest, and while the trays were tiny, it was kind of chic. The legroom was pretty tight, though, I'll admit. Drinks, even water, came with the price, so we skipped that. Overall, it's no worse than any other low-cost carriers.
And yeah, I get it. It's low-cost carriers. They're going to charge you for everything extra. You can't even get a water. Like, if you're dying, coughing, they won't give you a water till you cough up some money. And I've never bought anything on a flight. I've heard people say, when you go on a flight, just buy all of the drinks you want to, and then use a card that's currently maxed out, because when they're in the air, it's not connected to Wi-Fi, and they don't know until they land whether those cards are going to go through or not. So use that if you will, or don't, but don't tell them you got that from me. One comment says, the main issue with Spirit is they will cancel your flight and not even give you a refund or a hotel. Now that sounds a little illegal, but I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. Another comment says, I definitely think with any budget carrier, if you set your expectations right, you'll be fine. No matter if it's Spirit in the US or Ryanair in the European and in the EU. And I think what he says even carries over into life, okay? A lot of people have McDonald's budgets, but Benihana's expectations, and you gotta cut that out, okay? In life, you'll have more fun if you set your expectations, not even low, but just properly, like realistically. Don't always think that you're gonna get Louis Vuitton products with, Ross prices. It just doesn't work. It's gotta make sense. At the bottom line, it's a business and everything's gotta make sense. So I learned at a young age, my father taught me well, he said, you better be happy eating peanut butter jellies, because if you can be happy doing that, you'll live a decent life, straight up. Like literally, I will eat an Eckridge Farm turkey sandwich and I will smile about it. I'll cheese about it. It'll literally make me warm inside.
One of the questions that we receive is, are ultra low cost carriers or budget airlines any less safe than what a legacy airline is? And the answer in the United States is no. The Federal Aviation Administration, or the FAA, oversees all of the policies and procedures that maintenance and the pilots, from both an experience and a training standpoint, have to follow. So an ultra low cost carrier all the way to a legacy carrier, we all have those same qualifications and the same experience level to be able to do the job. And then all of our maintenance departments have to maintain the airplanes in a way that the FAA deems as safe. And then they come in and do periodic checks on all of those policies and procedures to make sure that they're actually in compliance with what the Federal Aviation Administration expects them to be.
One of the crazy things about this dude too is like, you probably, if you would have asked me, if he would have just came to me like this, not doing this video, and he said, what do you think I do for a living? I would have said, you are a pilot or you are a doctor. First comment says that this is false. The majors aren't hiring the same kind of pilots that the regionals are. Not saying that it's not safe, but it's definitely not as safe. But then what are the regionals? Like the little, you're talking about little airlines? You promise that like a little dinky airline is going to be safer than a Delta will? I'm willing to hear you out, but I'm telling you right now, I don't believe you. I'm not hearing, I'm listening, but I don't believe you. Another comment says, but pilots working for the budget airlines must be making less though, right? So why would the best pilots choose to work there? Serious question and concern. Somebody said not necessarily. In fact, some lower cost carriers pay better. However, it mainly comes down to the quality of life, bases, contracts, etc. For example, if you live in Salt Lake City, Utah, you probably hope to fly for Delta, but if you live in Phoenix, you may work for Southwest. So I wonder how they actually, the payment and, you know, how they structure the contracts. I just wonder how that actually works. If you're a pilot or a flight attendant or anybody who knows about this, please get in the comments below and tell me about this. Give me any info. I want to hear it from the source. And, you know, to summarize it all, man, like, to be honest, I can't tell you whether it's safer to go on to Delta or Spirit or whatnot. All I can tell you is my experience and what I've seen firsthand. And what I know firsthand is that you should probably hit this video right here. It's another one of my videos, another socio-economic topic right there. Watch it. If you made it this far, you might as well make it that far too. Click the video, Deborah. Click it now.